I once met a remarkable man. He was one of the wealthiest and most successful people I had ever known. But when I visited his home, I was surprised. No luxury villa, no fancy cars, no designer brands, just a small house surrounded by a sunny garden, a few old books, and a warm cup of tea on a wooden table. I asked him, "With the amount of money you have, why do you choose to live so simply?" He smiled, looked out at the peaceful sky before him and said, "Jim, I don't need more, I just need deeper." That sentence completely changed the way I saw life. We tend to believe that having more means success. But the more we have, the easier it is to get lost in things that don't really matter. Life becomes noisy, complicated, and sometimes we lose ourselves in that excess. The truth is, happiness doesn't come from adding more, but from letting go. Less noise to hear yourself. Less chasing to find your rhythm again. Less showing off to keep your peace. Because simplicity isn't a lack, it's fullness through choice. And when you live with less, you start living deeper in every experience, every person, every moment. In today's video, I'll share with you 7 principles to help you live less but deeper, to rediscover the freedom, peace, and inner strength that modern life is slowly stealing from us. And you should stay until the end of the video, because principle number 7 is the secret that helps you live lightly, yet twice as powerfully. Principle 1, simplicity isn't poverty, it's refinement. Once, a young student asked me, "Teacher, why do so many wealthy people choose to live simply? Don't they need to prove themselves?" I smiled. Because that's the sign of true maturity. When you're poor, you want the whole world to see what you have. But when you've grown deep enough, you no longer need to prove anything, you just want to live true to yourself. Simplicity is not poverty. Simplicity is the art of refinement, removing what's excessive to keep what truly matters. Poverty is when you're forced to have little. Simplicity is when you consciously choose less to live deeper. I still remember an autumn evening that year. After finishing a big speech, I sat alone in a luxurious hotel room. In front of me were piles of gifts, letters, and collaboration invitations, but inside me, emptiness. I realized I had been too busy trying to be recognized that I forgot why I started it. It was about sharing value, not chasing the spotlight. From that day, I began to live differently. I cut down on unnecessary trips, declined invitations made just for appearances. I spent more time reading, writing, reflecting, and having genuine conversations with kind people. And strangely, the more I let go, the richer I felt. Like a diamond, its value doesn't come from how many stones there are, but from how many impurities have been cut away. Your life is the same. It's not about how many things you have, but how many truly hold meaning. You may have 10 pairs of shoes, but only wear your 2 favorites. You may have 100 relationships, but only 3 real friends. You may have dozens of goals, but only one that truly wakes you up every morning. And when you realize that, you begin to understand what freedom really means. Today, the world makes us believe that more is better. More money, more things, more friends, more projects, more achievements. But the truth is, the more you have, the further you drift from your center. You become busier, more anxious, and paradoxically emptier. I once told my students, "Let your life be like a well-trimmed garden, fewer trees, but beautiful blooms. Don't be afraid to live simply." The real fear is living complicatedly without knowing why. Because people don't die from lack, but from exhaustion caused by unnecessary abundance. Take a look around your living space today. How many things do you keep just out of habit? How many gatherings do you attend just because you fear being forgotten? How many things do you do not out of love, but out of fear of losing declutter? Not just your desk, but your mind. Ask yourself, does this really make me deeper? If the answer is no, have the courage to let it go. Simplicity isn't stepping back. It's stepping up to a higher level of awareness. Those who live simply are the ones who clearly know what truly matters and keep only that. Like a gifted artist, he doesn't add more strokes he erases until the painting reveals its true soul. I want you to remember, this living simply isn't about giving up more. It's about choosing to keep less, but the right things. Because when you can do that, you won't just feel your life become lighter, you'll feel your mind as clear as crystal. Are you living among the essentials or just surrounded by things that fill the emptiness principle to less but deeper? One of the most common mistakes I've seen in young people is that they always want to do everything at once. I remember a young student coming to see me, full of energy and plans. He said, "Teacher, this year, I want to learn 10 skills: leadership, investing, public speaking, marketing, programming, languages, writing." I smiled and asked, "And what will you do with each of those skills?" He went silent. Then I said, "You know, people don't measure the depth of the ocean by the number of waves, but by the depth of the water." He froze. and I continued, successful people don't do more, they go deeper. You see, we live in an age of multitasking, where people believe that doing more means moving faster. But in truth, it's distraction that makes us lose direction. You can start 10 projects and finish none. You can read 50 books and remember fewer than 5 lessons. You can have 100 ideas and never turn one into action. Success doesn't come from touching everything. It comes from daring to go deep into one thing until you understand it to the core. It took me years to understand this lesson. When I was young, I was like everyone else. I wanted to do more, move fast, and get ahead. But the more I tried to do, the more I felt adrift. Every day I started something new, but nothing ever became truly mine. Until one day I heard my old teacher say, "Jim, if you dig 10 wells, each 1 meter deep, you'll never find water. But if you dig just one, 10 meters deep, you'll find an abundant source." That sentence woke me up. I chose one path, helping people transform their lives through mindset and discipline. I spent decades diving deeply into this one subject, reading, studying, teaching, speaking, writing. And that very choice of less but deeper changed my entire life. Young people today have hundreds of options, thousands of voices, and countless temptations. But the more options you have, the easier it is to lose yourself. True strength doesn't come from having more choices, but from knowing what to let go of. The wisdom of maturity lies in the ability to say no to almost everything so you can say yes to what truly matters. Think of an ancient tree. It doesn't try to grow in every direction, it grows deep roots. And it's those deep roots that keep it standing through storms, while fast-growing saplings with shallow roots fall with a single gust of wind. So if you feel your life is overloaded, if you find yourself running from task to task, without real progress, pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I living wide or living deep? Choose one thing that matters most and go all the way with it. Because when you truly understand something deeply, you don't just become better, you become transformed. I once told a group of entrepreneurs, you don't need to read another 100 books on success. Read 10, but study every page, practice every idea, and turn every concept into habit. That's the power of focused depth. In the modern world, doing less but deeper is no longer advice, it's a survival strategy. Because in a sea of shallow work, those who dare to go deep will always be remembered. So if you're overwhelmed with too many goals right now, be brave enough to cross some out. Keep what moves you, what you do, even without pay, what you could devote your life to without feeling drained. That's what will give your life its depth. Don't try to become busier, become deeper. When you choose to live deep, you begin to touch the layers of value most people overlook. And from that place, peace, creativity, and true success will bloom. A question for you, if you could focus on only one thing for the next 12 months, what would it be, and do you dare to go all the way with it? And sometimes to live deeper, you must start by clearing out what takes up space. The next principle will show you how to free your space so your spirit can be free. Principle 3, declutter your space to free your mind. After many years of teaching and coaching people, I've realized one thing: your outer environment reflects your inner world. When your space is cluttered, your mind is chaotic. But when you organize your surroundings, you also reorganize your soul. I remember one Sunday morning years ago, I woke up and looked around my room. Books, papers, documents, gifts from everywhere, all in a mess. Each object carried a memory, but at the same time, it was a string tying me down. I felt exhausted, as if I were carrying a heavy backpack I didn't realize I had on. That day I decided to clean up. I started small sorting papers, giving away unused clothes, throwing out gifts that no longer meant anything. The more I let go, the lighter I felt. And strangely, when my room became neat, my mind became crystal clear. I realized sometimes to move forward, you don't need to add anything. You just need to remove. In this age, we're not only suffering from noise pollution, but also stuff pollution. Phones full of apps, inboxes full of emails, desks full of to-dos, minds full of unresolved thoughts. Each thing takes up a little space, but together, they crowd out creativity, peace, and focus. Have you noticed? When your desk is messy, you procrastinate more. When your room is cluttered, you feel more tired. When your schedule is packed, you lose time for what truly matters, yourself. I used to tell my students, if you want to refresh your mind, start by refreshing your space. Like a computer. When it's full of junk files, it slows down. You don't need a new one, you just need to delete. And people are the same. You don't need to change your whole life. You just need to clear out what's weighing you down. Once I led a group of young entrepreneurs in a course called Productivity and Clarity. I didn't start with strategy planning or KPIs. I simply said, go home and clean your desk, then come back. They laughed thinking I was joking. A week later, I received dozens of emails saying that simple act had changed their work energy. Because when your space is tidy, your mind has room to breathe. In the modern world, decluttering isn't just for your home. It's also for your mind and emotional environment. Take a look at the invisible clutter you're holding on to. Relationships that have run their course but you still cling to. Commitments you no longer feel passionate about. Old thoughts that keep you trapped. All of these take up space in your mind, like junk files on a hard drive. You can't write the next chapter of your life while the old pages are still in the way. So here's a small challenge for you. For the next 7 days, remove one thing each day that no longer serves your growth. It could be an item, an app, a habit, or even a relationship. After 7 days, you'll be surprised at how much freer you feel. Simplicity begins with small actions. Not by removing everything, but by choosing to keep only what truly matters. I remember Leonardo da Vinci's words, "Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication." And I believe order is the foundation of freedom. When you clear your space, you open the way for new energy to flow in. You don't just make room for things, you make room for peace, focus, and creativity. Try this tonight before you go to bed. Tidy your desk, fold your clothes, delete what you don't need from your phone. Tomorrow morning, you'll feel different, not just cleaner, but lighter. And in that lightness, you'll begin to hear your inner voice more clearly. A question for you, what are you holding on to? Not because it still has meaning, but because you're afraid of emptiness. And once you've learned to clear your space and your surroundings, the next step is to simplify your relationships, to keep what's real and let go of the connections that weigh down your soul. Principle 4, simplify relationships. Keep what's real. I once heard a great saying, "Tell me who your 5 closest friends are and I'll tell you who you are." That saying is truer than you think, because we are the average of the people we spend the most time with. Many years ago, I went through a very socially busy phase. I went from one party to another, meeting dozens of people each week. I thought the more I connected, the faster I would grow. But then I realized the more relationships I had, the less real connection I felt. One night I returned home after an elegant meeting with a strange emptiness inside. I realized I had said hundreds of sentences, laughed dozens of times, but not a single conversation truly touched my soul. That night I sat alone and wrote in my notebook, "Crowded doesn't mean deep. Noisy doesn't mean close." From that day, I began simplifying my relationships, not by withdrawing, but by curating. I realized not everyone needs to walk with me for the whole journey. Some people show up to teach us a lesson, then leave. Others stay because they are the roots in our lives. Like a garden, if you don't pull the weeds, flowers will never bloom. Weeds aren't bad, they just take the light that flowers need to grow. People are the same. If you keep too many weed-like relationships around you, your mind and heart will have no room left for those who truly matter. I'm not saying you have to cut someone out of your life. I just want you to know who nourishes you and who drains your energy. Observe. After talking to someone, how do you feel? More at peace or more exhausted? Filled with motivation or doubting yourself? Those who make you want to become a better version of yourself, hold them tight. And those who make you smaller, let them go with gratitude. I once said, "You can't soar with eagles if you keep walking with ducks." And he said that not to belittle anyone, but to remind us that environment shapes nature. If you want to grow, choose to be around people who make you grow. People who dare to tell you the truth and love you enough not to tolerate your mediocrity. I once had a close friend for many years. We worked together, shared dreams together, but then our paths diverged. Every time we met, we only talked about other people, not about our dream. I knew that relationship had reached its limit. And one day I told him, "Thank you for the years we've had, but I think each of us needs new companions." Not because I hated him, but because I understood that maturity sometimes means accepting to let go. When you simplify your relationships, you'll discover something magical. You have fewer people but deeper bonds. You talk less but listen more. You no longer need to seek validation because you are surrounded by those who truly understand you. Remember, a real relationship doesn't need many words, just the right presence. A true friend doesn't have to always agree with you. They dare to say what you need to hear. And a true companion doesn't make you noisier, but makes you calmer and steadier. So don't be afraid when life becomes less crowded. Sometimes loneliness isn't a sign of loss. It's proof that you're gradually filtering for what's real. A question for you: who makes you better every time you meet and who makes you doubt yourself after every conversation? And then when you've learned to simplify your possessions, organize your mind, and keep real relationships, you'll begin to feel a magical state. When life gets lighter, the mind flies farther. Principle 5. When life gets lighter, the mind flies farther. I once asked a close friend, a seasoned pilot, do you ever feel afraid when the plane is about to take off? He laughed. No, Jim. The only thing that keeps a plane from lifting off is that it's carrying too much weight. That sentence made me think for a long time. Not just planes, but we ourselves as well. We can't fly far not because we lack wings, but because we carry too many unnecessary things. In life, what are you carrying that makes you heavy? Old fears, expectations others have placed on your shoulders, failures you still haven't forgiven yourself for. We often don't realize many things we call responsibilities are actually voluntary burdens. We try to please everyone, try to control everything, and in the end, we lose ourselves in the vortex of expectations. I once had a period like that. I worked nonstop, accepted every invitation, every project, every opportunity. I wanted to do more to prove my worth, but the more I did, the emptier I felt. One day I looked at my schedule and realized there wasn't a single line for Jim. No time to think, to read, or simply to sit in silence. I remember sitting down and writing 3 words, less to fly. I began to learn to say no. Saying no to unnecessary parties, meaningless invitations, and even to the expectations others attached to me. And strangely, when I reduced everything, began to move farther. Like a hot air balloon, to rise higher, it must drop sandbags. The more it holds, the more it gets pulled down. Only when it dares to let go can it touch the sky. Your life is the same. The more meaningless things you keep, the more you're pulled away from the core. Think about it. How many things you have to do are really just habits? How many relationships you're keeping are really just courtesy? How many dreams you're chasing no longer belong to you? When you're honest with yourself, you'll see freedom doesn't come from having more, but from letting go. I once guided a group of young students in a course called Focus and Clarity. They asked me, teacher, how can we feel lighter and not stressed when there's too much to do? I answered, it's simple. Each of you write down 10 things you're doing and cross out 3 that are no longer important. At first, they objected. They said, but teacher, everything is necessary. I laughed. No, if everything is necessary, then nothing is truly important. A week later, they came back and said, teacher, for the first time in months, my mind feels spacious. I smiled. That's the feeling of freedom. When you no longer live to strain, but live to fly. You know the calmest people I've met, not because they have fewer responsibilities, but because they choose carefully what they take on. They know clearly what gives them energy and what drains them. They understand that more isn't better, and lighter is sometimes the only way to go farther. Nothing is heavier than what we haven't dared to let go. Try just once to pause and ask, what am I holding on to just because I'm afraid of losing face? What am I keeping just because I'm afraid of disappointing others? And what am I clinging to just because I haven't forgiven myself? When you dare to put those things down, you'll feel something new. The mind begins to fly. Not flying away from reality, but flying toward freedom, focus, and clarity. I believe that a light mind is the foundation of a deep life. When you learn to live lightly, you'll have the energy to do what's right, the time to reflect, and the strength to create. A question for you. What do you need to set down today so your mind can fly farther tomorrow? And then when you've learned to let go so you can fly, you'll realize simplicity is the path to freedom. Because freedom doesn't come from possessing more, but from no longer being bound. Principle 6. Simplicity creates freedom. Once during a talk with a group of young entrepreneurs, someone asked me, teacher, how can we achieve financial freedom? I smiled and said, sometimes to be free, you don't need to earn more. You just need to need less. The whole room went silent because they expected me to talk about investment strategies, money opportunities. But I spoke only about simplicity. True freedom doesn't come from how much you have, but from not being bound by what you have. A person who has little but enough sleeps better than one who has much but is always afraid of losing it. A person who lives true to their values is more at peace than one who wears a mask every day to be accepted. Simplicity doesn't make you smaller. It just makes you lighter so you can go farther. I once met a successful man who owned many companies, houses, and assets. But he said something I'll never forget, Jim, I have everything, but I no longer have freedom. He told me that every morning when he woke up, his phone rang nonstop, people to meet contracts, to sign employees, to guide accounts, to check. Every day he was busy, but not a single day did he truly live. I asked, so what are you going to do? He said, I'm learning to let go. A few years later, he sold almost everything. Moved to a small house by the river, worked 4 hours a day, and spent the rest reading, exercising, and being with his family. He told me for the first time in 30 years I feel free. I believe that freedom isn't about having more choices, but about not being enslaved by them. Simple people have fewer choices, but they choose precisely what brings peace. Complicated people have hundreds of choices, but always feel a lack. And lack is the root of all anxiety. Simplicity creates space for clarity. Clarity brings freedom, while clutter, whether in things or in the mind, always drags you back to worry. Have you noticed when you buy something new, you're happy for a few days, but then you want something else, bigger, prettier, more expensive? But when you pause and learn to appreciate what you have, you feel something far more precious: sufficiency. I once said it's not the rich who feel enough, it's those who feel enough who are truly rich. And interestingly, simplicity also creates freedom in time. When you do less, you gain more time to live. When you shop less, you gain more time to read. When you talk less, you gain more space to listen. And when you prove yourself less, you gain more energy to truly grow. A student once asked me, "Teacher, why do older people like you live slower, yet seem so at peace?" I laughed. Because the young chase more, while the wise run toward what's right. Oh, the modern world teaches you to always run, always achieve, always add more. But I believe true strength lies in the ability to stop. Stop to breathe. Stop to see clearly what truly deserves your effort. Stop to remember that you don't need everything. You only need what's right for you. Remember, someone bound by material things, fame, or others' opinions is never free, even if he owns the world. But someone who needs little yet lives true is the richest person of all. Simplicity doesn't take anything from you, it simply gives you back yourself. So if today you feel trapped by the things you once dreamed of, try taking a step back. Ask yourself, do the things I own serve me, or am I serving them? When you dare to ask that question, you'll see freedom was never far away. It was just covered by the things you were holding too tightly. A question for you: do you truly need more, or do you just need to let go a little to live more freely? And when you've found freedom and simplicity, you'll understand the final truth. That simple living isn't just a lifestyle, it's the art of a strong soul. Principle 7. Simplicity is the art of a strong soul. I used to think simple living was the easiest thing in the world, until I tried to live truly simple. And I realized it's one of the hardest challenges. Because to live simply, you need the strength to let go, to say no to what everyone else says yes to choose peace over noise, to stand still while the whole world is running. I remember a former student, a young entrepreneur I once coached. He was the kind who always shone, dynamic, successful, full of energy. But after years of achieving everything, he came to me with tired eyes. "Teacher, why is it that the more successful I become, the emptier I feel?" I asked. "What do you do each day?" He described countless meetings, projects, pressure, praise, and criticism. I was silent then, asked a single question: "How long has it been since you sat still, just to listen to the wind?" He smiled sadly. "I don't remember anymore." I said, "You have everything, but you no longer have space for yourself." Simplicity is when you return to the essentials. No need to prove, no need to display. You simply live, true, deep, and real. You eat when you're hungry, rest when you're tired, work when inspired, and keep silent when needed. That isn't weakness. It's the expression of a strong soul, a soul that has moved beyond the need to be seen to reach the state to be oneself. Look at the deep sea. The surface may be stormy, but down below, it's always calm. Those who live simply are the same. They don't need noise because they know who they are. They don't compare because they know their path. They don't argue to win because they've chosen peace over right and wrong. Simplicity isn't leaving the world. It's knowing the boundary between enough and too much. And only those with inner strength are brave enough to stop at the right time. One day I sat in my small garden. The wind brushed through the leaves, sunlight filtered through each gap. I suddenly realized all good things in life arrive in silence. Seeds grow without noise. Dawn comes every morning without applause. True love, true gratitude, and true maturity all happen in stillness. I smiled because I understood simplicity isn't a destination, but a process of purifying oneself. You know, we live in a world that makes simplicity rare. People teach you to be faster, have more, grow bigger. But few tell you that slower, less, and deeper is the path that brings you back to yourself. And that's why I believe simplicity is the pinnacle of wisdom. Because only those who understand deeply dare to choose less. Only the strong dare to step out of the crowd and live to their own rhythm. and only the tranquil are peaceful enough to savor the tiny moments others overlook. So if you're weary from life's pressures, if you feel overwhelmed by having to be more, stop and ask yourself, do I truly need more, or do I just need to live deeper? Maybe you don't need a bigger house, you just need a warmer space. You don't need more friends, you just need a few truer ones. You don't need more achievements, you just need a little more peace. And when you can live like that, you'll discover a wondrous gift. Freedom, peace, and happiness were never outside. They've always been within you. Simplicity is the way back to that essence. And when you touch it, you no longer need to try to be someone else, because you are enough. A question for you. If today you could let go of one thing to make your soul more at peace, what would you choose to release? If you feel these lessons resonate with you, hit subscribe to continue the journey with me, where we learn to live with less but deeper, to rediscover peace in a noisy world. And remember, as I once said, success isn't about having more, it's about becoming more. See you in the next video, where we'll explore the art of mastering yourself in everyday life.